I'm going to explain to you the difference between a hyperangulated blade and a straight blade, right? So this here is what we call basically a mag blade, and we use this for direct laryngoscopy. And when we're doing the intubation, right, we're actually visualizing coming in with this blade, right, and finding our landmarks, right, and we actually have to look in the mannequin in order to visualize, right, the uvula, the epiglottis, right, and so forth. The difference, right, is for this machine is we have something known as a hyperangulated blade, and you notice the curvature of the blade, right? This has a curve to it as opposed to a standard geometry blade, which this is, right? This is a standard mag blade, and this is also a standard geometry blade, right? The mag blade. So this is a hyperangulated blade. So the technique with this device will differ as opposed to these devices. And the other aspect being is that we are also on video, so we see the video. So we're not directly looking in the mouth for our landmarks. We're observing the video screen, right, to see it. So first, let me go through the landmarks so that I'll show you what I mean. So this blade is actually a finesse technique. You take your two fingers here, and then you take your thumb, right, and you come in. And the first thing I want to see is the uvula. So on the screen, we see this aspect right here, right, is the uvula. After the uvula, I want to see the epiglottis, right? So as I'm advancing, I see the epiglottis. And what I want to do is I want to sit the blade in the vallecula, right? And when I do that, I'm going to engage a hyoepiglottic ligament, and this will pull, right, my epiglottis forward. And here at the bottom, you see this is the interarytenoid notch. And this is what I want to see. Now, very important, right? You don't want to expose, this is called 100% view, because if you have 100% view, you will not be able to advance your endotracheal tube. You actually want a 50% view. So what I'm saying is that 50% view of the tracheal inlet, right? So these are your true vocal cords, and I want a 50% view. Let me show you what it looks like with the tube. So first, I'm going to do 100% view. And you see naturally it wants to go in the esophagus, right? You see how the tube is passing through it into the esophageal space. Now, I back out, right? And then what I do is I do a 50% view. Coming from the side, right? And automatically, right, the tube goes right into the tracheal inlet. So for this device, the hyperangulated blade, let me just show you the entire procedure. So you're going to hold my tube. So the entire procedure is this. 2 fingers, thumb, right? You're going to cross finger technique on the mouth. And this actually device allows me to record, and I'm going to record it. I'm going to post this as well. I'm going to record this on the video. Perfect. So cross finger technique, coming straight forward. Uvula is the first landmark. I see it, right? I go forward. I want to see the epiglottis. I see it. Slide my blade into the vallecular space, right? Hyoepiglottic ligament. I see my interarytenoid notch. Not 100%, right? 50%. Coming from the side, right? And go straight, right? And what you do is, if this is rigid and you can advance, what you can do is you could pop your stylet up, right? Make the tip softer. And this will allow you to advance the tube forward if you need to, right? What I do is I note my depth. So here I have it to be roughly at 19, right? I'll go a little bit further, 20 at the lips. And what I do is I hold this in place when I take out my stud because I don't want to dislodge it inadvertently. So I hold this down and I'm going to remove this towards my feet. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the stylet slowly towards the feet, making sure the tube doesn't get dislodged, right? So it's out. And then what we do is we inflate the cuff, right? And then my partner here is going to go ahead, connect it, right? And ventilate. So we see the tube is definitely in the right space. Right, so I could take out anatomically, and then what we see is we see a good chest rise, right? So you're going to squeeze the bag again. Excellent, right? We see chest rise, so we confirm positive lung sounds. We're going to confirm capnography, right? So just to say what's the most important thing, I saw it go through the vocal cords. That's what I'm going to document. So visualization through the vocal cords. Objective data, right? Positive end-tidal CO2, 35-45, right? Pulse ox, positive pulse ox, 95-100, objective data. I auscultate my lungs out mid-axillary because I want to know that I didn't write main stem. So positive sound, right? Positive sound. I honestly don't even bother checking the epigastric sounds because I know it went through the vocal cords and we saw it on the screen. So this is how I would confirm. This is how I would write it up on my ACR. I saw the tube go through the vocal cords. End tidal CO2 was 40, pulse ox was 98. I have bilateral breath sounds upon auscultation, right? And I note that my tube, right, was 20 at the lips, and then once all this is in place, right, then you go ahead and you secure it, and I showed you, right, this is a Thomas tube holder. You want to make sure that the bite block is pointed towards the feet. Set the bite block. Don't secure this yet, right? What you want to do is get the Velcro in first, right? Once the Velcro is in place on both sides, then you tighten your bolt. And why you say, okay, what's the purpose of this opening towards the legs? You say, if I wanted to suction with the Yankauer, which I have here, right? You notice, right, the opening of the mouth, right? This allows me to insert the Yankauer if I need to suction, right? So if I needed to open the mouth and I come in from the side, right, it allows me the insertion. If I put this upside down, I cannot advance my Yankauer. So this is why we put it towards the feet, right? And then the final thing I'm going to show you, right, with this device, we're going to disconnect it. I'm going to show you how to use a gum bougie. So what's known as an endotracheal tube introducer, right? So we're going to disconnect it. So the procedure is going to be the same, right? So pick up my bougie. And something important about the bougie, right? If you see, this is called the Coday tip, right? You see how the tip is bent? And this is the whole bougie, right? And here's the syringe, right? So with the bougie, we don't need to style it, right? This is going to be our stylus. And just want to show you, right? So people say, well, how do you know you're in the right spot, right? So hold up is usually the best location. So let me put the screen up, right? Again, right? Uvula, right? Go into, find my epiglottis, right? And I get a 50% view. So now look at this, right? So if I'm in the trachea, right, I'm going to hit hold up. Hold up is usually right main stem bronchi. It means this doesn't go any further. So if I am here, right, you see how much tip is sticking out from the mouth, right? I can't go any further. I have hold up at the right main stem. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to specifically put it in the esophagus. So it went into the esophagus space, right, esophageal space. Look, and I keep going, right? And I could bury this into the mannequin. I don't want to do it because I'm going to lose my bougie. But you see how much further I went. So hold up is the best landmark, right? So how this procedure looks from the beginning. So hold this for a second, right? Cross finger technique, right? Uvula, see it. Epiglottis is next. Set it into hyoepiglottic ligament. I see my interarytenoid notch. Bougie, Coday tip up, right? Come in, I saw it go in. And then my partner is going to introduce the tube over the top of the bougie. You notice if the tube is upright, this tip here may get caught, right, on your vocal cords. So we're going to turn it counterclockwise once we pass it, right? So grab the top, right? So here, I come in, right? This is where I was talking about may get caught counterclockwise, and it's easy insertion, right? Again, I know that I am at 20 at the lips, right? Put it in my hands, and then we do is towards the feet. We'll remove it slowly, right? So you guys can see, right, towards the feet. Inflation of your balloon, right? And we take the BVM, and I see it's still positioned in the right place, right? And we could take this out, right? And you see obviously positive lung sounds, right? And as I said, I saw it go through the vocal cords. End tidal CO2 35-45. Pulse ox is about 95-100%. And I auscultate, very important, mid-axillary. So we don't want to auscultate, I'm going to take the head. We don't want to auscultate here, and here, right? Because I'm listening for bilateral lung sound. So the best place is mid-axillary on both sides. And to be honest with you, I don't even bother checking the epigastric sound because I saw it go through the vocal cords. So that's what the main takeaways from this.